For 10 years, I believed I knew the man I built my life with. 10 years beside him, trusting his words, adjusting my life around his moods, giving more than I ever received, and convincing myself that loyalty would eventually be rewarded. I was wrong, because in the end, it took one single day for the truth to reveal itself. One day for the mask to fall. One day for me to see that everything I had built was standing on top of a lie. That was the day I woke up. The day I realized the sentence that now feels like the headline of my entire past. I was nothing to him, not a partner, not a priority, not a choice he valued, just a presence, convenient, predictable, always available. And yet, that realization didn't destroy me. It finally freed me. He thought I would stay. He thought I would accept anything he gave me, even the scraps. He thought I would swallow the lies, the disrespect, the humiliations. He thought I would be too afraid to leave. He thought I would stay. He was wrong. But here's the truth most people don't understand. A woman doesn't leave the day she discovers the betrayal. A woman leaves the day she discovers herself. And that discovery doesn't happen in a dramatic, loud moment. It happens quietly, in the silence of a morning where something inside her finally shifts. That morning, before everything collapsed, I felt a strange calm. Not peace, not yet, but a certainty that something in my life was about to break open. I didn't know I was hours away from a truth that would end a decade of my life, but my body knew, my intuition knew, and for the first time in years, I listened. Before the truth came, I was the kind of woman who believed in endurance. I thought problems were solved with patience. I thought relationships lasted when women held everything together. I thought sacrifice was a form of love. Looking back, I realized I was slowly disappearing. I shrank myself to fit his expectations. I silenced myself to avoid his irritation. I abandoned my dreams because he said they were unrealistic. I adjusted my life so mine wouldn't clash with his. I stopped mentioning the things that mattered to me because he mocked them. He didn't need to cheat to hurt me. He had been hurting me long before, in all the subtle ways that leave no bruises, but leave scars. For 10 years, I romanticized his inconsistency. I excused his coldness. I justified his distance. I called his neglect stress and his indifference a phase. What I didn't know was that the woman I used to be, confident, hopeful, soft, had been slowly fading away. And soon, she would vanish completely if I didn't wake up. The first cracks in our relationship didn't come from something dramatic. They came from small things, subtle, almost invisible, the kind of changes that only a woman who's paying attention can feel. At first, it was his silence, not the comfortable silence of people who know each other well, but the heavy silence of someone who's living a double life, the silence of someone who suddenly has more to hide than to share. His words became fewer, shorter, colder. How was your day? Fine. What did you do? Nothing. Are you okay? I'm tired. He wasn't tired. He was distant, detached, somewhere else, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. His phone became his shadow, face down, silent, locked, protected. If it buzzed, he grabbed it instantly. If I walked by, he tilted the screen away. If I asked who messaged, he said the same things. Work. Just someone. It doesn't matter. It mattered. Phones don't change habits. People do. And his new habit was secrecy. Then came changes in his routine. Late meetings, last-minute errands, showers before leaving the house. Not for me. New clothes I didn't recognize. Cologne I didn't buy. He stood longer in front of the mirror. Ironed shirts he used to wear wrinkled. Styled his hair with a confidence I hadn't seen in years. He wasn't trying to impress me, he was trying to impress someone. Words revealed what he tried to hide. My concerns were exaggeration, my questions were nagging, my feelings were too much. Udi, when a man starts making you feel like a burden, it's because someone else has already taken your place in his heart. Our home changed. He stopped sitting beside me on the couch, stopped eating dinner with me, stopped laughing at things that once made him smile. Stopped touching me unless he wanted something. One night I reached for him, a gesture I had done for 10 years. My hand touched cold sheets. He wasn't there, and the part that hurt the most wasn't his absence. It was that I wasn't surprised. The turning point wasn't a message. It wasn't a photo. It wasn't a call. It was a sentence, a simple sentence that exposed everything. "You're overthinking again." It wasn't what he said. It was how he said it, with annoyance, superiority, and a tone that only appears when a man no longer respects the woman beside him. Something broke inside me that day. I didn't have the full truth yet, but I knew one thing. Whatever he was hiding would eventually come out. And when it did, I wouldn't be the same woman he expected to find. If betrayal cracks a woman, humiliation is what breaks her. Not loud humiliation, not shouting, not insults, not scenes. The quiet kind. The kind delivered in small doses. The kind disguised as you're being sensitive. There's a moment, subtle but devastating, when a man stops truly seeing you. Emotionally, spiritually, intimately. The softness in his eyes vanished. The spark when I entered a room disappeared. The warmth of his touch faded. He looked through me, not at me. He started treating me like a burden. Everything I said annoyed him. Everything I did irritated him. My needs were too much. My presence was too much. He acted like being with me was a favor he was doing, a generous offering of his patience. He came home late. He hid his phone. He avoided intimacy. He blamed exhaustion. But exhaustion doesn't make a man hide his smile. Exhaustion doesn't make a man cold at home, but energetic when he's going out. Exhaustion doesn't make a man cruel. Cheating does. Disrespect does. Falling out of love does. There were moments that still sting. The night I cooked dinner and he said, "I already ate." The time I asked if he wanted to watch something and he snapped, "You always choose boring things." The moment I held his hand in public and he pulled away as if my touch embarrassed him. Small moments, tiny cuts, invisible bruises. He genuinely believed I would never leave. He believed I needed him. He believed I couldn't survive alone. He believed I would endure anything, because I always had. Men like him underestimate the quietest women the most. They mistake silence for weakness. They forget that silence is simply the storm gathering. One night, lying beside him, watching him sleep peacefully while I felt like I was drowning, something whispered inside me, "You don't belong here anymore." And that whisper was louder than all his excuses. From that moment forward, I detached, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, not out of strength, out of exhaustion. And when a woman stops fighting for the relationship is already over. People think women leave loudly, but real decisions aren't loud. They're quiet, calculated, clear. My decision came in silence, while folding clothes alone, while washing dishes, while hearing him laugh in another room at messages that weren't mine, while feeling invisible beside someone who once promised to love me. I didn't threaten, didn't hint, didn't argue. I observed. I watched the lies form effortlessly on his lips. I watched how quickly he dismissed my concerns. I watched how confidently he assumed I'd never leave. And in that silence, something inside me hardened into resolve. I stopped trying to fix us, stopped offering solutions, stopped explaining myself. Because explaining yourself to someone who benefits from misunderstanding you is a waste of breath. He mistook my silence for surrender, my calm for weakness, my distance for resignation. That belief made him reckless. One afternoon, rushing out of the house, he left his laptop open. I wasn't looking for proof, but truth doesn't wait for permission. A message popped up, a name I didn't recognize, a tone I hadn't heard from him in years, a sentence that ended everything. "I miss you already." Simple, clear, undeniable. I didn't panic, didn't cry, didn't rage. I felt still, as if my body had known this long before my eyes confirmed it. The truth didn't break me. It freed me. That night, he came home like always, casual, confident, unaware. He talked, he laughed, he complained about his day. I listened, not as his partner, but as a woman who had already left internally. And I thought, You have no idea. This is the last version of me you'll ever know. The confrontation wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no accusations, no desperate pleas. I waited 2 days, not to punish him, but to let clarity settle. When I finally spoke, my voice didn't shake. I know. 2 words. His face fell. Denial, confusion, calculation. Know what? He asked. I know there's someone else. Silence. Thick, heavy, exposing everything he had tried to hide. He denied it, minimized it, blamed stress, blamed me. 10 years of excuses in a single moment. I'm leaving, not angrily, not emotionally, just truthfully. Panic flashed in his eyes, because consequences only hurt when they become real. He begged softly, quietly, not out of love, out of fear. Suddenly, I mattered again. Suddenly, he wanted to fix things. But fear isn't remorse, urgency isn't love. I didn't argue, didn't explain, didn't justify. I had spent years explaining myself to someone who never listened. The justice wasn't in watching him suffer. The justice was in walking away with dignity. No shouting, no chaos, no drama. I packed quietly, organized my future, closed the door gently. And that image, me leaving calmly, haunted him far more than any revenge ever could. Life didn't become magically perfect after I left, but it became peaceful. The silence in my new home was different, not heavy, not lonely, peaceful. I stopped apologizing for things that weren't my fault, stopped replaying conversations in my head, stopped wondering if I was too much. I began trusting myself again. I rebuilt without an audience, new routines, new energy, new stability. One morning, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself in the best way. I didn't look tired. I looked present. I hadn't just left him. I had come back to myself. Meanwhile, he stayed where he was. At first, he thought I'd return. Then, the quiet hit him. Then, the loneliness. He lost more than a relationship. He lost stability, emotional support, safety, partnership. And when the fantasy of the affair died, as fantasies do, he realized the cost of what he had destroyed. Regret became his companion. Reflection became his punishment. Loneliness became his routine. He tried reaching out. Messages, memories, nostalgia. But some doors stay closed. I didn't wish him pain. I didn't wish him loss. I simply didn't belong in his story anymore. And he finally understood that too late. Betrayal isn't the ending. It's the beginning. Because the day a man breaks you is not the day your story ends. The day your story truly begins is the day you stop breaking yourself for him. Everything I lost, the relationship, the illusion, the version of myself that tolerated disrespect, was necessary. Pain taught me that love isn't supposed to feel like doubt. Love doesn't silence you, doesn't shrink you, doesn't make you compete. Love protects. Leaving wasn't about him, it was about me. Starting over wasn't terrifying because of the future. It was terrifying because of the past. But when I stepped into my new life, I didn't start again. I started better, because now I build from truth, choose from worth, love from strength. I know now, people don't change because you love them. They change when they love you enough to try. A woman doesn't leave when she discovers betrayal. She leaves when she discovers her worth. And losing someone who doesn't value you is not a loss. It's liberation. Leaving didn't feel heroic. It felt terrifying. No one talks about the quiet fear that comes after you walk away. The fear that asks if you made a mistake. The fear that reminds you how long you stayed, how much you gave, how hard you tried. But guilt fades when truth rises. Rebuilding wasn't dramatic, it was quiet. I learned to live again, cooking meals I liked, sleeping without anxiety, making decisions without fear, laughing without checking the time. Some days were hard, some nights were lonely, but illusions are expensive, and I had already paid too much. Little by little I returned to myself, stronger, calmer, more certain. Eventually, happiness arrived, not loudly, softly, quietly, in the form of stability. He thought he would move on easily. He didn't. At first he pretended everything was normal. Then the silence hit him. Then the loneliness. Then the regret. The affair faded. Of course it did. Fantasies don't survive reality. And suddenly, he wasn't choosing between two women. He was standing alone. He reached out, softly, nostalgically, desperately, but I didn't answer, not out of revenge, out of healing. He began remembering everything he dismissed, my laughter, my loyalty, my presence, my consistency. Memory is cruel. It reminds you of what you had only after you've lost it. While he spiraled, I grew. He was stuck. I was evolving. He was regretting. I was healing. He was looking back. I was moving forward. And in that contrast, I found closure. The greatest justice isn't his suffering. It's my indifference. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Stories We Tell, leave a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps us keep creating stories about strength, self-respect, and new beginnings, because stories that restore dignity deserve to be told and remembered. Thank you for being here.